Configuration in Primero means modifying the baseline forms, roles, and permissions to reflect your program. In this video, we will walk through configuration, forms mapping, and the UAT process. Please note that customization is not configuration. Customization refers to the process of building features and functionalities that do not yet exist in Primero. Both configuration and customization have time and cost implications for rolling out Primero. So what information can we configure? Forms, lookups, and searchable and mandatory fields, and those listed on the left, require situational analysis and planning. All information listed here is handled by configuration. No two programs are the same. Depending on the country or module, Primero needs to be able to accommodate various language, workflows, roles, and forms. The platform is required to adapt to the nature of the program, but it's not easy as it seems. We have one form, and that one form may have 5 fields, where some may be mandatory and others may have multiple choice options. Each one of these 5 fields may interact with different types of functionality. For example, approvals, workflows, dashboards, reports, imports or exports, and transfer functionality. And each one of these functionalities may be only accessible by certain user roles. Even with this simple example, this configuration could require up to 2,500 code configurations. There are 5 steps in the configuration process. Step 1 is to analyze, which requires the most time and effort. Step 2 is to plan, which requires about 20% of effort and time. Step 3 is configuration, which requires about 10%. Step 4 is verify, which requires about 15%. And step 5 is rollout, which requires the least amount of time and effort. We will explain these steps further in detail throughout the remainder of this video. Firstly, we can analyze by gathering insights and requirements from frontline users. In this case, the insights we gathered help us configure fields, forms, and groups of users. Next, in the planning step, map those insights. Primero has a specific form mapping process which involves comparing Primero's out-of-the-box baseline forms to the new forms you want to create. As much as possible, it is advisable to use or modify existing fields or forms. You can now configure. All configurations are made on a locally installed test system, also known as the virtual machine or sandbox. In this sandbox, you can make configuration changes and test those changes. Primero has been designed and tested to allow many users to interact with a common dataset, allowing us to set granular permissions to allow the app to facilitate your program while protecting data confidentiality. Configuration can be tricky when modifying such a highly integrated data model. Making changes to the configuration may have unintended consequences, so it is important that this process is handled carefully. For example, it is not advisable to change an existing field's data type. We advise that you do not delete a field and then create a field with the same database name and a different type. We recommend that you do replace fields whose type you want to change by deleting or hiding them, then creating a new one. We also recommend that you give a new field a different database name and a different type. We have a configuration guide for more tips. Following any change to configuration, you must verify that the application functions correctly in the virtual machine sandbox. To do this, open a case and fill in every field and save. Create a report and view that report. Log in as a user with any role you have modified and test that everything works. All configurations should pass through QA process to test that they are performing correctly before any real data is entered into the system. QA is conducted by a team of testers tasked with ensuring that the system is not breaking, that there aren't any bugs preventing the functionalities and workflows of the system, and that the system is functioning as per the business requirements. You can learn more in our Primero development cycle video. You can continue to verify by conducting user acceptance testing. UAT is the phase of the process where frontline users, or case or social workers, managers, coordinators, and service providers test the configuration changes and make sure it's functioning as expected and according to the requirements that were originally collected in the analyze step. UAT can be coordinated by your team or the software vendor team. All feedback should be tracked. A clear timeline is to be set for this, though it allows enough time to review, make changes, and review those changes before the system is planned to go live. Once the system is live, cases are entered in the system, and all end users should be providing feedback through regularly held feedback sessions, especially in the first months of go live. User acceptance testing, or UAT, is not the same as quality assurance, or QA. Both are different phases of the development cycle. QA is conducted by a team of testers tasked with ensuring that the system is not breaking, that there aren't any bugs preventing the functionalities and workflows of the system, and that the system is functioning as per the business requirements. UAT, on the other hand, are frontline users, who are those that are interacting with the system on a regular basis to check and ensure that the system accurately reflects their work processes and addresses problems it was meant to address. You can perform rollout once verification has been completed on all changes. Send the new configuration bundle to all synced instances. Make sure that you also send the password for decryption, or according to the ISP. Coordinate time for all instances to load the new configuration.